Hello, this is How To Bob, and in this video I'd like to share with you how to change the tub to pump hose in an Electrolux front load wash machine. First thing I'm going to do, unplug the washer, make sure it's safe, and I'm going to take out the back screws. Now you may have a stackable unit. I've already removed my stacking clips, and once you take off all the back screws, the back will slide towards the rear of the wash machine and it'll unclip. And next I'm going to remove the two screws that are holding the control panel on, located right behind the control panel itself, one on each side. And once those are removed, I'm going to remove the laundry detergent bin by pressing on the little retainer clip right here and then gently pull it out. Next, I'm going to remove the three screws holding the control panel on the front behind the laundry basket. I get those three screws taken out. And then I can remove my control panel and turn it up on its end. And there's one little plug here. You have to press on the little clip here to release the plug. Once you press on the clip, the plug will come right out. Just plugs right in. And I can set my control panel off to the side. Next, I'm going to open the door, and you'll see I'm going to remove the rubber boot around the door. So on the top, if I peel back the rubber boot, you'll see a little spring here, and this is the spring that goes to the clamp that goes all the way around the door opening. And all you have to do is get it started, and you can pull the clamp off and set that off to the side. Once the clamp's off there, the rubber boot will then peel right off, and you got to be careful of the wires here and the light there. But you can pull the rubber boot and just tuck it on the inside to the inside of the drum for now. That'll be good enough to get it out of the way. So I've got that out of the way. Now I can close the door again, and I'm going to go down to the bottom, and I need to remove all the screws along the bottom front of the machine. Now I have my wash machine set up on a couple of wood blocks just to make it easier to get to the screws. And once I get these screws out on the bottom, I can go up to the top, and there's screws on each side here and over here that I'm going to remove next. And I'll remove both sets on both sides. Once I get both sides removed, there's one more over here towards the left of center. Take that one out, and then I can just kind of jerk out on the front of the wash machine and up a little bit, and it'll come loose. And there's some wires over here that are attached to the front. Once I get it loose, I can disconnect the wires. It goes over to here. Just pinch that and unplug it, and that'll slide out of the way, allowing me to remove the front of the wash machine. You can see all these wires are routed through the hole there. Once I get this front taken off, I'll set it off to the side for safekeeping while I do some repairs. You can see the little pegs here. This helps align the front panel of the wash machine up when you put it back on. So I'm going to go down underneath, and before I start taking off any hoses, I want to put a towel or two underneath because there's a lot of water. This is the lowest point of the wash machine, and there's going to be a lot of water coming out of here. You may want to get some towels ready at this point, and you'll see how much water comes out once I take the first hose off. It's quite a bit. And that's the one on the pump here. And then I'm going to take the next one off. It's a little bit lower than that one even, so I'll get some more water. It just keeps coming. The lower you go, the more water you're going to get. I'll just start removing all the hoses. And you can see here's where my leak is. Seems like it's got a little pinhole leak here, and that was causing me some issues. So it is time to replace it. So I'll continue removing all the hose clamps. And once I get all the spring-loaded hose clamps, there's one left that needs to be removed. It's the big one that is screwed on, and I found it easier. If you go around to the back and remove the back panel, I found it easier to get to the hose clamp on the back, through the back of the washing machine. You can see it down here, and it's right over here. So I'll be removing this screw right here, and that'll be the last one that's holding this hose on. Okay, now I have my tub to pump hose removed. I'm going to take it up here, and there's a basket on the inside. I'm going to go ahead and show you where it's leaking. You can see it was just a small leak, enough to cause problems when the washer was running. But I'm going to clean it out, get all my hose clamps off there. There's a little basket in here that I'm cleaning out, and I'll show you that here once I get all my clamps off. This is like a strainer basket. It collects anything that might get lodged in there or go through your wash machine. You can see it just peels out. Your new tub to pump hose may not come with this, so you're gonna have to take this out, clean it up real good, and you'll reinsert it into the new one. I've put the part number for the tub to pump hose here on the screen. You'll see when I put the basket back in, there's little tabs. They have to be lined up inside the hose, and you'll see the little tabs right here. There's 3 little tabs, and they all get lined up, and everything goes on nice and smooth. Next, I'm going to take my spring clamps and slide those over top of the hose, and I'll put them on a little deep. That way I can slide the hoses onto the spots where they go. And last but not least is the screw-on hose clamp, and this is the way it came off, but I found it easier if you rotate it around like this. Makes it a little easier to get your nut driver in there and tighten it up. So I'm going to go ahead and reverse this. Since I've got the back of the washer off, it's going to be a whole lot easier. So I slide that one up on there, and there's a notch that it has to line up in, and you'll see it slides right up on there. Once I get it up tight enough, I can go ahead and tighten my first clamp, and that'll hold everything in place while I work on the spring clamps. This one again has to go up on here, and once I get that all the way up to the neck, I can then start to bring my spring clamp up. And I found some pliers work good. Sometimes channel locks work better, just depends on the angle. Next, I'm going to go around the front here and hook up my pump and put that spring clamp on. You want to make sure they're seated. Each hose is seated real well onto the component that you're hooking up so that you don't have any leaks. And then you just work the spring clamps back on. And I have a couple more here. This one also has a notch in it that needs to go in place, so I'll put that in the correct place, get that on there, and get the spring clamp back on. And then I've got the one over here, the small one, and again I'm going to use the pliers and just kind of push that over a little bit, get it seated in there real well, and get it all tight. I'm done in the back, so I can go ahead and put my back panel on now. I put the screw on the bottom. That allows me to set the cover in the back right on it, and I just hold it in place, and I can replace all the screws that I took out earlier. Once I get all the screws in the back panel tightened up, I'm going to bring the front panel back in, and you can see I'll line it up with these little pins here to make sure everything's lined up. So for now, I'm just going to set the front on there until I get my wires fed through and plugged in so that they don't get pinched when I put the assembly back together. Got my wires fed through, and I have to plug them in now. Just plug it in, make sure it's tight, and I've got this little one here to hold out of the way. And I can then put the front back on and put the 2 screws on each side in, tighten them up. 2 on the right, then we have the 2 on the left, and then the one just to the left of center. Next, I'm going to go to the bottom and put the bottom screws in along the front. And again, I've put some blocks of wood underneath the machine. Just makes it so much easier to put these screws back in. Get those tightened up, and I can set the washer back down on its base, and then I can start putting the rubber boot on. So I'm going to open up the door and bring out my rubber seal and kind of set it up to be installed. And you can see it has to curl around the lip here. So I have to start at one point and start working my way around, all the way around till I get all the way around the opening here, and everything's tucked in nice and tight. Make sure that all of it goes around the lip here. This could take a little while, but if you keep working at it, you'll get all the way around the whole door. And the difficult part here is around the hinge base, just to make sure that everything, like I said, is tucked in so that you don't have any leaks. And I've got it all tucked in. So I'm going to bring my clamp back in, and I have to start at one side and start putting it in and then work it around. I'm going to end up with my spring at the top, so I want to orient it right up to the top. Next, I'm going to reinstall the control panel, and before I do that, I want to plug it in here, make sure it clips into place. Should be good. And then you'll see there's 3 little tabs along the bottom here, here, and on the other side that just push into place. And then I can start putting the screws back in, the 2 behind the laundry detergent, and then the one on the side over here. Next, I have the 2 on the top. I'm going to close my wire connection box first, and then I'll put the 2 screws in the top. Next, I'm going to get the top to the wash machine, and I'll set that on here, and it slides forward and kind of locks underneath the front control panel, and then I can install the screws in the back. Now I have a stack-on dryer, so we have these mounting brackets here, and those get screwed in. If you don't have a dryer that stacks on top, you won't have these brackets. You just install the screws in the location where the mounting brackets go. So all that's left to do for me now is to put the laundry detergent bin back in, and that's how you change the tub to pump hose on an Electrolux washer. I'm How To Bob. Thanks for watching.